Jerusalem Talks ND is brought to you by the Academic Center of the University of Notre Dame in Jerusalem.
My name is Daniel Schwake, and I'm the Executive Director of the University of Notre Dame's Academic Center in Jerusalem. In this second season of Jerusalem Talks ND, we want to explore Catholic perspectives on the Holy Land. As Notre Dame's representatives in Jerusalem, we often grapple with what it means to be a university defined by its Catholic character within our local and regional context. Why does the Holy Land matter to Catholics? What do Catholics abroad know about Christian communities who live in this land? How should that inform conversations about this place at a theological, social, and political level? The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has made these questions more relevant, which becomes evident in situations like today, not only for those of us who call the Holy Land their home, but also for millions worldwide. To illuminate some of these questions, we asked Professor Avraham Burg, a faculty member at our center, to embark on an investigative journey that tries to give voice to the diverse Catholic community in the Holy Land. In this episode, our guest is Professor Mouna Maroun, who serves as Rector at the University of Haifa and is a professor of neurobiology.
Peace on you, Professor Maroun.
Good morning. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Mouna Maroun, if I ask you, show me your idea, what will be written on your idea? A woman, a scientist, a minority?
Why? It's very complicated because I'm everything of that.
So give me a little bit. I mean, you are the first ever vice president of a university in Israel coming from the Arab community.
The first rector-elect.
Yeah, but in order to get there, you have to do something in academia. So let's begin with your academic idea.
Okay, so it's very... Academia for me, it was something like a dream. Because I'm coming from underprivileged family. My parents, Luis and Nabiha, they never finished elementary school because in my village there were no schools. However, my father believed that in order to succeed in Israeli society, we need to acquire higher education. So since we were little, he started to educate us by reading books every night, and we had to summarize for him what we read that day.
In what language?
In Arabic, of course, because my father, though living in Israel, mastered only the Arabic language, and he didn't know Hebrew. Of course, not English or any other language. So we were supposed to read and to summarize for him and to show him that every week we go to the library in our village and we change books, okay? So it's like continuous reading. And my father, since now he's 99 years old, he reads every day, okay?
Wow.
So we started by knowing that higher education is something that we have to acquire, and it is a privilege that is only for people that probably that come from a better society than we do.
Books.
Yes.
Tell me one book from your childhood that your father made you read and you say, that's my book. That's the one I remember.
It's very easy. Very easy.
Okay.
I remember the first Christmas gift that he gave to me. It was the biography of Marie Curie.
Oh,
wow.
The famous scientist who discovered the X-ray.
Yeah, of course, and the radium, and she had two
Nobel
Prizes. And I read this book twice a day until the age of 18. Okay, so I had it just before going to sleep and just before going to school.
So you have you have the Old Testament, the New Testament, and Madame Curie biography.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that was exactly.
That's your Bible.
It was my Bible, and at that time I didn't understand because there was something written that when she was in her school and because of the Russian regime, and they were forced to hide the fact that they were studying history of Poland.
She was a Polish, I think, born
Yes.
from a Jewish minority, later escaped to Paris,
Yes.
right? So when you say underprivileged, minority, etc.,
Yeah.
you fit into the idea.
I fit into the idea, and the idea that they were forced to hide the history of their country and then to exchange it with sewing equipment. So it was like, come on, why studying is not something that is normal, what is something that is, it's okay and you can do it. So I didn't understand in terms of a child, I didn't understand why they had to hide. So I thought that they forbid them from studying. And for me, it was like, okay, then I need to study.
Stop there. I mean, I want to continue the track,
Yeah.
but let's stay there for a second. You said my village. We sit at the 21st floor of the most, at the time, was the highest tower in the
Yes.
Middle East. I don't know how is it today, in Haifa. And you are in a position of influence, position of power, and the village is 5 minutes drive from here, which
Yeah.
is like a different world order. You were born in Osfia,
Yes.
which is a majority of Druze village and a tiny minority of Christians, right?
Yes.
So how is it there when you go to school? The kids from various communities are the same, getting the same attitude as your father gave you?
Wow. As a minority, you are a minority. I don't know if, I always say, I don't know how does it feel to be majority. I mean, now I'm the highly ranked, in the highly ranked position in the academia, everywhere. Means not only at Haifa University, but in Israel. I still feel that I'm not a majority. Though that I do the decision, I'm the decision maker. Still, I don't understand what does it feel to be majority. And at that time, we were different. It's like, you are Maronite. Okay, what does it mean I'm Maronite? You pray in a different way, because we use Aramaic in our in our churches. So it was like people, kids, mainly kids. They were, you are a Maronite, and every time that there was a conflict, in the neighborhood between kids, so they were saying, you Maronite, go away. Okay, so it was like this to be a Maronite and a minority. As a minority, you need to adapt to the majority. You need to keep your identity, but yet to adapt to the majority, because otherwise you cannot survive. And this is a huge advantage for me because in Israel, I'm an Arab. In Arab, I'm a Christian. In Christians, I'm a Maronite. And even in Maronite community.
And in Osfia, I'm a minority within a minority.
I'm a minority with a minority. And also I'm a girl, So it was like being underprivileged in every way you can think about it.
A second. I remember many years ago, I visited friends in Osfia in your village, and there was a huge discussion at home about the wife of my friend, that her father-in-law was unhappy that she wants to drive and to issue a driving license. You are now 17 years old in Osfia, 18 years old. No problem for a Maronite girl to drive, right?
Of course not.
But there is a problem for the majority of the Druze girls to drive.
Even that is changing nowadays. Then.
So how does it work? You and your girlfriends, I'm driving, you're not allowed to drive.
It's not that. It's even extreme than that, because I was the first girl to leave the village and to travel to France for a postdoc. I mean, imagine the mentality, the revolution vision that my father had in order to accept and to deny and not to listen to the neighbors, to the other parts of family. I mean, how can you permit your girl to go abroad and be in France?
What about the reputation of yours?
The reputation, of course,
Yeah.
So it was a conflict because my parents truly believed that you need to break this this shell in order to go outside and to succeed.
But
and they never questioned.
But it's interesting. I asked you about you and your majority Druze girlfriends, and you answered me about your father, mother.
You're okay, but it was completely different. At that age, yes.
Were they envy?
They had their decisions in life.
You don't
they
answer.
Got married.
Okay, let's
no,
move.
they got married
Okay.
at early age. So it was for me like, it was like, okay, so let's admit I was bizarre. For them, I was bizarre.
Now in
one hand, yes, I had the freedom to go and to drive and to go to Paris and to live 3 years almost in Paris. But for them, I think it was like, in order to protect yourself, so you look at the other and you say, oh, I'm okay, but he's bizarre. So I was the bizarre one.
Okay, so
so you understand.
I see. And now, when I look at your career, when I read about it, when I follow you for such a long time, I would say that at every milestone in your life, you can put a little flag, Mouna the first. Mm-hmm. Okay. You did so many first things. The first girl to go out of the village, the first. But in this first, is it the first Maronite? Is it the first woman? What is the first? I'm back to my ID question. Within you, what are you first?
As I said, I have different identities. I'm very proud to have these different identities. But if you ask me which identity I prefer from all these identities, then I say I'm Maronite.
I'm a Maronite.
I'm a Maronite, and I will tell you why. Because being a Maronite, it means being a Christian. Being a Christian, it means that you need to be open-minded, and you need to be equal, and to feel equal, and to love each other, and to love everyone, and to be human. This is what Christ said. Love your enemies. Because you are not doing any favor if you love your friends or your brothers. So love your enemies. Being Maronite means that we are rooted in the Middle East since the 4th century. So there is no one that is doing us a favor that we are here. Being a Maronite means that we are different. We were persecuted through history. As Christians, as being a Maronite in Lebanon, and it is a huge privilege for me to be Maronite. I'm very proud to be Maronite because it symbolizes everything in the history that I'm very proud of. And so this is my identity.
I think I understand what you're telling me. When I map the Maronites in the diverse mosaic of identities and religions and faith and ideologies of the region, that's a very unique one. A group that actually never gave up and never surrendered, in a sense that you're so ancient. Phoenicians and Aramaic, and you mentioned that in the church you still speak, the ritual is in Aramaic, though in some Maronite churches they already moved into Arabic because for people to understand. And for so many years you kept this identity not always understood by your neighbors, be it in Lebanon or be it wherever it is. But by the end of the day, because you kept your own, I would say, preserved identity, there is a pride, there is a backbone, there is a resilience. And I see how you take all of these components of yours into the track of the other identities of yours.
We are resilient, it's
not stubborn, resilient.
We are, it's always, it's very complicated because,
Okay.
I think the fact that we kept, I don't know if you know that Maronite is the only church, Oriental church, that was not divided into Orthodox and Catholic. We are Catholic. And
since at least 600 years.
Since the 4th century.
I thought that you okay.
Since the 4th century, we never changed. We started at the 4th century, and since then we are Catholic. We are very Catholic. Meaning that if you look at around us, so you have the Greek Catholic and the Orthodox Catholic,
right.
and you have the Copt Catholic and the Orthodox Copt, and you have the Armenian Catholic and Orthodox. So we kept our relationship with the Catholic Church, with the Roman Catholic Church. So for people here around us, they look at us as, okay, so you have the same identity and you don't change identity. So I think this is something that first of all shows, as a minority, it shows that we are resilient to changes. We don't change. We don't want to change. We keep the history, and we struggle, of course, to be in coexistence with everyone, but still keeping our identity and trying to avoid division. And this is something that I think other churches in here do not really understand. So they always name us as stubborn. We think it's not being stubborn, we want to preserve our origins and to keep our nation, because I think the Maronites, our nation, are not only a church. It is a nation, it is a church rooted and strong, and I think the number of Maronites is increasing, and we are getting closer to our churches and to our identity.
Are you in touch with Maronites in Lebanon? Not necessarily you personally, but you as a community.
As a community, of course, because our patriarch is in Lebanon, located in Lebanon.
But how you preserve it? Here is a tension. You're an Israeli citizen. Lebanon is an enemy country. So how you preserve the undercurrent relationship? How does it work?
First of all, our bishop
Yeah.
is Lebanese. So he goes and he comes frequently to Lebanon. But a second thing, it's like Israel for Jewish. Okay, so it's like Lebanon for us is like Jerusalem for Jewish people.
No, this I understand, but tell me practically, you have family in Lebanon?
We have a family in Lebanon.
So how you keep in
because
touch?
My family,
the third country?
My family originates from Lebanon. Okay, so my grandfather came to Palestine at that time. From Lebanon, we have family, we have our community, and we look all the time for what's happening in Lebanon, because we pray that one day they can live in peace and Lebanon can really flourish and get back to be the Swiss of the Middle East. So we have connections. A few years ago, it was like we need a third party in order to communicate. But today, with the WhatsApp and with the technology, I think it's making things easier. Yet, it should be noted that sometimes they are frightened because of
the security services of both sides.
Yes, of both sides.
But people marry. I mean, it's a small community, and of course there will be the tendency to marry with like us people. So I know that the Armenians community, for example, looking for people in Armenia for to marry couple. Do Israeli Maronites and Lebanese Maronite marry? Or it doesn't work?
I think it is. Maybe years ago when the borders were open at the beginning of 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. So I think many people from Jesh.
Okay, Jesh is one of the largest villages in the north with a huge Maronite and Aramaic community.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it was because of the being close to each other, the borders, Lebanon and Jesh, so they got married one from each other. However, no, for us, no. I think people get married here with the other Christians, because we want also, like other religions, we want to keep our identity. So people get married with Christian with Christians, Muslim with Muslims, Jewish with Jewish.
But when a Maronite marry to a Greek Orthodox,
It's okay. It's perfectly okay.
I mean,
It's
the parents do not look at you and say,
with Orthodox, they say,
go
it's
for
not-
a Catholic
go
one.
for a Catholic, it's
Yeah.
better. But if not, it's okay
I
because
see.
we dream of one church. Christians dream for one unity.
The unity of the
churches
church.
and faith and being together and not having these divisions because it's crazy that some of us celebrate Christmas on 25th of December and others on the 7th of January, and sometimes
Most of my friends celebrate both.
Yes.
And happy to have a double
yeah, of
double
course,
feast.
it's always
Yeah.
it's always at the level of social life.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to religious life, I think we need to be united and one church, one Christ, one church.
Build for me another bridge. You spoke about the devotion to the heritage, legacy, community, Christianity. You express it in a very eloquent way. Religion mainly is about certainty. Science is about doubts. It's about maybe this axiom is wrong. Maybe this research I can look at it differently. Now you are a scientist to begin with. I mean, career-wise, you're a psychologist by training. You deal with the brain, neurobiology. I mean, you go places in which doubts are a working tool. Build a bridge between religion and science. How does it work?
Wow. For me, it's not a conflict. There is no contradiction of being a scientist and asking all these questions and question everything and having this faith of someone that is from above, surveying on us, creating us, and making this world sometimes function. And sometimes when he closes his eye, so it is a huge, it's a huge mess. I think that the world, when you look at the universe, you don't believe that it was created by someone who didn't know what he's doing or she is doing or it is doing. It's God, so no identity. I feel that there is no contradiction between this believing, for example, in let's say in Santa Maria, that she was pregnant because of the Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, and that Jesus was not born because of a relationship between a man and a woman. I believe that this is indeed the Holy Ghost deeds, and so maybe some people from Europe or from the States think that I'm very naive. But I always look in Israel, and I always gave the example of the Jewish community. And I say in the biggest and the most prestigious Weizmann Institute in Research and Hovot in Israel, there are many, many, many scientists, well-known internationally, that they combine these two identities of being Jewish religious and being a great scientist. It is bizarre for me because when I did my postdoc in Paris, people looked at me, how come you have your cross? Because I have a cross around my neck, a sign of Christianity, of identity.
A cross and the crucified and the
and
Redeemer.
The crucified, yes,
Yeah.
and the crucified. So people say that this cross is typically for Orthodox, because the Catholic Church is not with the crucified, So it's not Jesus, because Jesus was resurrected. So this is a gift from my family. So since I finished high school, and since then I have it. So people ask, how come you as you ask, how come you are a scientist and you ask questions, and on the other hand it's like you have all the answers because of having your faith, and you have your strong faith. For me, it's very simple. I don't see any contradiction.
You mean, if I understand what you say, let's say on the abstract level, you say there is a creator, and through my science, I try to understand or to expose or to reveal more and more layers of the enigmas of the creation. It's not that I'm going against the creation, I'm going with the creation.
I'm going with the creation, and I'm trying to understand the mystery of the brain that he created, that God created.
And how you reconcile, if it's possible, let's say that in the Old Testament we speak about the 6 days of creation. And now in the United States of America, not now, for so many years, there is a conflict whether evolution or creation. Okay, how does it work? How did the world developed, created, evolved? Where do you stand with that? Because it's not a scientific question. It's a question of personal morality, so to say. Where are you?
Sometimes I question that, to be honest, whether indeed God created in seventh day the history of Adam and Eve.
Sixth day, the seventh day, he took a vacation.
Took vacation.
A sabbatical.
Yeah, of course. Of course we question these things, but I try to ignore the Old Testament. I focus on the New Testament. Thought that Christ said that I didn't come to change. I didn't come to cancel. I came to continue. So, yet, of course, we question the story of Adam and Eve, and we question the story of creation. But I don't question the story of Jesus Christ, resurrection, and so it's like, okay, being a scientist on the one side, this is being a scientist. So some questions and some facts you question. The other facts, it's very easy not to question. So for me, faith, it is the basis of my life. But the faith in Jesus Christ.
Born in your village, climbed to the top of the tower in Haifa University, but in between you went to places, and one of them, your high school, was not in the village. Your high school was the Arab Orthodox school in Haifa, which is one of the best private schools in Israel. Talk to me a second about the Christian educational system in Israel. It produces brilliant scientists, public figures, artists. What do you do right?
So, the Christian schools, it's like a diamond in the education system. Unfortunately, they don't have equal rights like other public schools in Israel. And that's why there's even a risk that we are going to lose these Christian schools because of the budget given from the government. But
budget not given by the government.
Budget not given, the lack of budget given
yeah.
by the government. And this is going to be a pity and it's going to be a tragic event for the Arab community. Because as you said, most of us, professors, doctors, all people that succeeded in being educated, in acquire higher education, in being integrated in the Israeli market, in the Israeli society, directors of hospitals, chief of departments in hospitals, most of them were educated in these Christian schools. I should emphasize that these Christian schools are open to Muslims and to Jews. So there is no discrimination in acceptance. So everyone can go inside into these schools. But you need to know that, for example, for Jewish, they cannot enter because the language that of teaching is in Arabic. So these schools started even before the independence of Israel, and Europe brought the most amazing priests and nuns from abroad, from Europe, and they established these schools. And these schools are rooted on, or are based on, Christian values, and Christian values meaning open-minded, asking questions, and disciplines, and also being tolerant for others. And the system of education, of course, it's on the one hand, it's selective because only good people, good students can go inside. And on the other hand, the system is amazing because the teaching is, they take the best teachers. So they combine everything, they pave the way for higher education, and they pave the way for the integration of the Arab society into the Israeli society.
So we have your parents as those who launched you into the realm of curiosity. We have your educators in school, and later on you took on your own career. I want to go back to a place which is maybe prior to this all. You said that we pray in Aramaic, we speak Arabic. Hebrew might be a barrier, though it's the language of the majority, but we live in our own community. But comes another question. How do you learn to be a Maronite? Where do you study the history? Where do you study the emotions, the sentiment, the recipes? Home only?
You know, I always say that I work on memory. I study memory. But I don't have memory, okay? But my memories...
Explain to me.
Okay, I work on the mechanism, you said I'm a neurobiologist. I work on the mechanisms of memory, but I forget everything easily. So I always joke on myself and tease others that I work on memory, but I don't have actual memory. However, I do have emotional memory. And emotional memory, since I was a kid, as I said, I always believed that I'm unique. Of being Maronite is being unique. It's not something that, it was like, wow, I'm privileged. Because they tease me for being Maronite. They joke on me of being Maronite. So I exchange this idea, I transform these experiences of a kid that feels, okay, they are rejected, okay, for something sometimes. So either they go into them, they isolate themselves, or they think that maybe I'm unique. So I think I took this pathway of thinking that I'm unique.
No, I will be the first one to give you a testimony that you are unique.
No.
But Mouna, if I go to the generic Mouna,
yes,
not my friend Mouna, but the generic one, I'm a Maronite kid in Jish.
Yeah.
I'm a Maronite kid in Haifa.
But I will tell you that.
How do I learn it?
So I said, okay. So I said that I started saying that I have emotional memories, and these emotional memories. So first of all, they include that I'm unique because I'm Maronite, and the second one, I remember that when we were little, we used to pray every night for Lebanon, for the safety of Lebanon, for the safety of Christians and Maronites, for the peace in Lebanon. Because when I was little, the civil war started in Lebanon.
75?
75.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I was a small kid. So we used to pray every night, to kneel, and with my parents, and to pray for Lebanon and for Maronites. So it was started at home. And then our family started construction of a church, of our community church in Esfia.
Which is a beautiful one.
Yeah, so thank you. So my memories as a child, they were at that church, that we are helping, that we are constructing, that it is our home. You cannot with these things, being kids looking at me and saying, you are Maronite. At home, praying for Maronite and praying for peace in Lebanon. At our church, building something from scratch.
And you have a kind of...
these memories.
But you have something like formal history education like the Jewish kids have at
No,
high
we
school?
don't have. We don't have.
So it's a
We
kind
don't
of
have.
an oral tradition within the community.
Yes, but I think this is the most emotional thing that is stamped in your brain, emotions, and not education. But later on, of course, at the church we start with the education about Maronites, about our origins, about our uniqueness, about our relation to the Roman Catholic, about our relationship to the Druze, because it's not by coincidence that we come. My grandfather came from Lebanon, okay, and he come to Isfia. Isfia where Druze and Maronite coexist.
The Mount of Carmel in Israel that has the two maybe largest Druze community in Israel, Osfia and Dalet el Carmel, is in a way a Lebanese model that succeeds.
Yes.
Okay, if the same way Lebanon is a failed country with all the miseries they have there, most of the time in your villages and communities, the coexistence works.
Yes. And I always say that where there are Maronites, there are Druze, and where there are Druze, there are Maronites. And
I'm not at all sure, I'll tell you why, because I think that demographically speaking, there are more Maronites in exile than Maronites at home, whatever home is. I'm not at all sure there are so many Druze in order to cover all the Maronite communities around the globe.
Yeah, exactly. But let's say we hopefully, this is what I say about the Mount Carmel. But I do hope that Christians in the Holy Land, they will remain in the Holy Land because, and that the story or the history of Lebanon is not going to be replicated.
The Holy Land is a real place. It's not a virtual place.
It is a place, but I do hope that Christians will remain in the Holy Land, equal Israel, Palestine, and not immigrate as it happened in Lebanon, that Maronites, specifically Christians in general, they immigrated from Lebanon.
I understand exactly what you are mourning, the loss of the historic holding of the historic homeland. But at the same time, I look how the Maronite exiles or people in exile enriched world culture. Jubran Halil Jubran, Ralph Nader in Lebanon, but all over the Middle East. Ferouz, the famous singer of the morning. Okay, I say famous singer of the morning because there is a term in Arabic which says Ferouz bil subuh wa Kulthum bil leil, which is Ferouz to wake up in the morning and Kulthum to fall asleep with.
Yes.
So, I mean, yes, many people leave the region, but never stop to enrich as unique individuals' world culture.
I told you we are very unique. Let's start with this. But I think, again, if you now go for Lebanon, I hope that one day we can all go to Lebanon. But if you will go to Lebanon and ask these classical singers about the origin of their poems, the origin of their songs, you know what they will say? The chants or the songs, the prayers of the Maronite church.
Really?
Yes. Most of them.
So I have to listen differently to Ferouz and to look for the liturgy layer there.
You need to do it because the Maronite Mass liturgy is something that is amazing. You cry with, you laugh with, you feel it, it touches your heart, and I think most Ferouz, it is based on the brothers of Rahbani that composed the music, the Ferouz music. It is based on their education, and they admit it on their education into the Maronite church.
Let me be a tourist to your life. Which Mass should I come? Not every Sunday. Which? I want to come and to cry with your community. Which one should I come?
So you need to come to 22. Every month we hold a Mass.
The 22nd of each month?
22nd of each month in our church, in our very small, it's not a small church, it's a community church.
Why 22nd?
Oh, because 22nd, it coincides with, in Lebanon, it is the feast of our patron of church, Saint Charbel. He was a Lebanese monk, and I think he's doing miracles everywhere. And Muslims, Jews, and you have testimony from all of these different religion members. They come to Lebanon, and they put their witness regarding and testimony regarding the miracles that...
so it's morning or evening mass?
So it is evening. So many people from outside the sphere. Because our community, it's like 120, the Maronite community. And we host every month 500, 400 people that come.
So when I come, I will come, I promise you, to come to cry together. Give me a special recipe, which is a Maronite recipe that is yours only.
Recipe in terms of
eating. Real life. I mean, we spoke about spirituality and psychology.
I'm not sure that we have something that is typical for Maronite, you know.
You don't have a kitchen.
I'll tell you why. We are mostly spiritual. We are mostly identity. So for us, stomach is not knockout. Stomach is not counted.
No, but the Lebanese kitchen is maybe it's the best one in the region for sure.
Yes. But it's not typical for Maronites, but it is, of course, they created the Lebanese.
I hope that you are unique there as well. But okay, there is 1 quarter in life in which you are normal. Good.
Yeah.
Go back to your research. You spoke about memory. I for many years, I used the ADBC calendar, okay, before Christ, after. Now I think it's different. It's BG and AG, before Google and after Google.
Of course.
In the sense that with Google, you don't have to remember a thing, but you cannot forget anything. It's something is happening to the mechanism of memory. But what you did in your study, which is very, very interesting, you explore the possibilities, at least at the laboratory level, to erase memories of fear.
Yep. Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about it.
So first of all, let's go to Google, before Google and after Google.
Okay.
I can tell you that that when we were kids, they always said, repeat, even. So
learn by heart.
Learn by heart. And you saw we always question the efficacy of learning by heart. Of course, now there are other dogmas for education, and you need something emotional and you need something exciting. However, learning by heart, which means repeating and repeating and repeating, there is a neural mechanism that works for that, because when you repeat, when you repeat the same information again and again and again and again, so there is a change in the system, in the neural system, because the strength between cells, neuronal cells, we call them neurons, it becomes stronger and it eases the memory. So I'll tell you, for example, something, okay, regarding Waze. We always use the GPS. We use the Waze even to go home, okay? But before that, we used to activate a certain region in our brain in order to get from one point to another point by driving or by walking. Now we use the GPS or the Waze or the Google Maps. And what does it mean? That this brain is not activated. And this is the region that is the first to be affected by Alzheimer's disease and the dementia. So Google, of course, we don't need all the time to study what is the height of the Eiffel, what is the number of residents and inhabitants in Israel, or where is Israel located, the capital of Israel. We don't need to learn that by heart. However, we need to activate our memory, our brain. And this technology is not helping our brain.
I'll tell you why I laughed twice during your beautiful narrative. The first is, when I was a little boy, the punishment in class was to learn by heart a chapter from the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. And since I was punished a lot, I learned a lot. And up until today, I remember huge chunks of the Old Testament because of this punishment. And then you spoke about the GPS coming here at a certain point right after your village Osfia. You lose the GPS, and all of a sudden the Google Map shows you that you are in Beirut.
Exactly.
And maybe that's because of your Maronites, okay? so the whole conversation we had about the mountain of Lebanon.
So I can tell you for that Waze and GPS and all this
Not good for me.
eruption, they are very good for me because my dream is to go to Lebanon. So suddenly I'm in Beirut.
home.
Yes, I'm in Beirut all the day. But to be honest, the most harmful thing for our brain is the GPS, because now we don't rely on our brain, we rely on Google. We rely on maps. So
let's
in
go
order to the memory of fear.
To the deleting memory.
Yeah, but it was an introduction for the memory of fear, because in order to study something that is neutral, okay, for example, what is the height of the Eiffel Tower, okay, so you need to repeat it many times. However, when it comes to fear and traumatic memory, you don't need to repeat. It's enough that one memory, one event can create a very long-term memory that can last for lifetime. Meaning, if we're talking about when I used to give talks for general audience, I used to ask them, do you remember where you have been on the 11th of September? Because everyone remembers. Now in Israel, unfortunately, I will ask the 7th of October, because every one of us remember where he or she was on the 7th of October, what he was doing on the 7th of October. Because when it comes to a traumatic event, we remember, we have memory that can last for a lifetime. Now, people can develop, so fear, it is a normal reaction. When you have a danger and you are frightened, it's a normal reaction, because you have all the system working in order to avoid and to survive, and in order to avoid fear and danger. However, when the danger is disappearing and you keep the memory of fear and you are frightened, then you develop anxiety. Okay, so when there is no danger and still you are anxious, it's anxiety. And the anxiety can develop to post-traumatic stress disorder that can really harm the routine and the daily life. And these people avoid doing basic things like going out of their houses. Okay?
Sure.
And we need to understand what happens in the brain in order to understand what goes wrong. And if something goes wrong, then how we can treat it. So we, in a rat model in the lab, we found that there is something that we can inhibit into the brain, into a specific region of the brain, which is the region of fear memory, of the emotional memory, and the center of fear responses. So when we inhibit this region by a certain drug, then we can erase the fear memory. However, this is something that we cannot really apply in humans, because it is something that is very invasive. It's something that is very invasive.
Let's say you could invade the memory of the collective of the region. What kind of fears would you delete in order to enable everybody to be Maronite-like?
I would promote what is called contact theory. Contact theory means that when you know each other, then you are not frightened from each other. I would start to construct or to reconstruct a community, including Jews, Muslims, Arabs, Christians, Jews, to talk together.
And it's possible?
But it is possible if you start by early age. Why early age? Because early age, the brain is soft.
So you didn't lose hope of the region?
I never lost hope of the region. And I think that we need to change here in the Holy Land, around us. And we think, of course, I also think that people need justice. People need a country. We need a country in Israel. The Palestinians need a country in their homeland. And one day, we can go to Lebanon together, maybe, and we can get to know my homeland, let's say, my origin, the origin of the land of my grandparents, and my legacy and heritage. because I dream of that day that I can go to Lebanon and be on the top of the valley of Kadisha, the Valley of Saints in Lebanon.
Mouna, you are unique. It was a privilege, this conversation. I really want to meet you in one of the very near coming 22nd of the month in order to celebrate together.
You are most welcome.
And I pushed myself in.
Of course, of course.
And I do hope that not necessarily to delete memories, but to base on the trauma a new hope in order to say, let's not repeat it. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. And I share with you this dream. And as a Christian, I believe that we need to find something that make us a unit with our differences, with our different identities, yet to come together, sit together, eat together, talk with each other, and grow together.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So help us God. Thank you very much, Professor Maroun.
Thank you very much.
Jerusalem Talks ND is brought to you by the Academic Center of the University of Notre Dame in Jerusalem. For more information, visit us at jerusalem.nd.edu.